Don't expect someone else to have the same beautiful heart that you do have. Don't expect someone to turn up the same way that you turn up for them. That's it has to do with a lot of selfishness, and it's so unrealistic, man. Here we are back once again. It is I, yours truly, the maniac, Thando Nkonyana, back with another lovely episode of the Motivational Maniac Podcast. Here we are to the last segment of season 8. Bro, it's been a journey, man. It's been a journey. I couldn't believe that at one point I actually could be able to do this, man. It actually feels like when I actually started with the show in its entirety as well, where I was like, you know what, throw yourself in the deep, young man. You are quite capable. And we greet this episode, first of all, in the holy name of Shiva. We're thankful for the one who's higher above us, for the amazing initiative that he has given us. We wouldn't be here without the higher power. We're still guided by his guidance. We also give thanks to our ancestors. Ogqirha, siyabulela bontswenswe ngazo zonke izinto enisenzele zona. Asiyonto ngaphandle kwenu-ke, sihamba nomenzi naye umvelinqangi. Ngazo zonke indlela ndiyabulela ngento enindenzele zona. I just had to start this one off by giving thanks and props to my ancestors. Man, I'm so sorry. I think I'm catching a bit of a flu, but that's not the main initiative. Man, 26 episode, Tando. Who would have thought? Who would have fucking thought that you would make 26 episodes? But here you are right now, grinding, making yourself proud. Damn, man, the amount of work I put in, man, just to make this a reality. The complacencies, the tribulations that I had to face. I'm literally battling myself with each and every opportunity that I do get, on whether I do turn up or I don't. I do feel some type of way when I actually don't turn up, and that's due to the fact that I'm always expecting the best out of the self, you see. I'm very self-critical as a person. I am very self-observant about self, as much as what someone else thinks about the decisions I've made. The most important person I think about is the person that those decisions impact the most, and that is myself. No one can actually go through your mind and be able to think for you, reason like you, interpret like you. Hence why it's so important within my journey. I always ensure that I use the initiative and the power of actually, like, learning as much as I can with every opportunity that I do get. And in many instances, it does get hard because you you kind of find yourself in a bit of a rut. You're trying to understand, where is all this going to be going? To what significance does it have? Um, what kind of impact will it have? But that is when I just tilt my focus towards what I do have control over, and that is, first of all, setting the intention. I ensure that each and every form of content that I put out there, I'm trying to inspire people, first of all, about their own lives, using myself as an example as well. And in many instances, people don't get that this Motivational Maniac podcast is it's a diary. It's actually a personal diary where I interpret things, and I do understand with a short form video, sometimes people can get things out of bit of context, due to the fact that um, I might be sounding a bit harsh, but I just want to make everyone aware that these are my experiences. I respect all the comments, I respect all the opinions, but this is how I witness and view things, and this is what I encountered. And I do understand some of the things that I said give a bit of an opportunity for dialogue to actually be done. But that is not the main thing. The most important thing is that I am holding the pen and I'm writing it. And while I'm writing it, it happens that I do also motivate you as well. Sometimes you might not hear the stuff that I want to hear. And in most instances, I want you to get that I'm also talking to myself fundamentally. That's why it's a personal diary, whether I'm having a conversation with someone, trying to get to know what their way of seeing life and how they are being impacted by the decision they made, or it would be the very same decisions that I'll point back to myself and ask myself, like, what kind of initiative does what you are doing actually have on you, and what would be the end result? And I have a coming session as well. And as I've told many people on the show, that I actually go through therapy because I have a very traumatic childhood. A childhood now as an adult, it's my responsibility to firstly identify those traumatic experiences, interpret them in a way that is going to be me not self destructing, but me trying to learn and understand each and everything that was happening was only a build up of the strength that I do possess today. I just want to thank my younger self as well for him sticking through during those times, because when we are making those ultimate decisions, we don't understand like the impact it's going to have, not just only on ourselves, but also the future versions of ourselves. It took discipline, Tanda, for you to first of all start this. That is why, as we close this season off, it's so important for you to self reflect, young man. Take yourself down through memory lane to a point where it started with you writing that diary every morning, and it was COVID that time. You recently had become a father. You were in a position where you didn't even know what was going to come next for you, but in your mind, you always had this dream, the dream that your creator planted in you. And I'm so thankful to Shiva each and every day that he still possesses my mind when it comes to that dream. He still wants me to go ahead and push and actually refine that dream and make it a reality by the daily actions that I make. I have an idea of how much action I want to take on a daily basis, but I'm not sure if it's a Chinese proverb that says too much of anything is not good. I stand to be corrected. Anyone that can be able to correct me on that, if that is a Chinese proverb, that too much of anything is not good, I can go ahead and hop on the comments or any form of social media that I am on and actually reach out to me to tell me about that. Because I always say that I am not afraid of being corrected. I am not afraid to learn from someone else. And I don't want you to even look down upon the capabilities that you do have just because I'm this person who's articulating these ideas, articulating this experience of mine in a way that makes you feel like I cannot be questioned. I want to stop you right there and tell you that you still can teach me. I am teachable. I'm not always right. And it can be a little bit hard for me to actually be in groups with that idea, but I'm actually um, very observant and also very aware that you are not always right. You need to be teachable. I did write a status about that in one of my social medias, that you be teachable. You're not always right, and each and every human being must do that. You don't know everything. I don't know everything. I'm not gonna walk as if you can't help me. And the emphasis, like I said, constructive criticism. If you cannot be able to tell me what I can do better at what I'm doing, whether it will be something that I am aware of or not aware of, then I think you should keep that to yourself, because we are in the growth lane right here. At any instance, even when we start with the following season and future projects, we are always going to try to actually get rid of the social norms of ourselves. Remember, they are habits that we have built up in within our journey of growing, and we grow to points where we think that is only just the way to do things. But because we are not opening ourselves up to learning new means of how to communicate, to distribute ideas, to learn from others, to conversate, sometimes in most instances we need to shut the fuck up and actually listen. Listening is a skill on its own, and sometimes we miss a lot because we we listen to respond. We don't listen to hear what the other person is trying to say. And I'm trying to understand the human aspect in terms of why do we behave a certain way, what influences that. And it's much more than what we are actually saying with our mouth. It's also constructed in what are we doing on a daily basis as people that enables us to behave in a certain way, what happened to us. And one of the things I love that I took from Oprah said, in most instances, they always say what's wrong with this child and actually asking what happened to this child. Something happened to you as a young person, as a young girl, young um, boy, you turned into a man. Something happened. You were a child at one point. You're still a child right now, but you're just a human. You're just an adult child. There's still those tendencies. And how do I know that you are still a child? It's because of the fact that you are still on a journey of rediscovering yourself as well. There are certain things, even in our adulthood, that keep on coming back. It's like the same problems dressed in different clothing. A new day, just a different outcome. So, in me actually being aware of that importance, not just to myself, but also to the future versions of myself, because remember, I need to question this guy each and every moment that I do find myself in my life. And it doesn't happen if I am not confrontational to self. It can matter as much as you think it does that you're confronting the outside, but what about the daily things that you have to consult and confront yourself about? And it's very scary. I don't want to lie. It's a scary experience trying to dig deep towards these experiences, but most importantly, being able to interpret them from a learning aspect so that we don't become adults, most importantly, that are going to be driven by our traumatic childhood experiences. We're not going to be raising our kids from that traumatic experiences and trying to reconciled with that inner child that's in us, because the inner child is the one that's creative, is the one that is so playful, and each and every one of us have that aspect. And if you notice something, as we grow older, we start to lose our smile, we start to lose our spark, because we are not paying attention to that child. In every form of growth that we are faced in life, we must tag along that young child. That young child deserves to be with us for eternity, because that is how we get to tap into the creative nature of ourselves. So, with this upcoming session, I have a task that I actually need to attend to, so that by the time that it actually does come and I get to sit down, then I would have a clear idea in terms of how I do move forward, because we are heading towards Women's Month in South Africa. That is a very important month in our history as South Africans, knowing that we come from a very oppressive system that existed before democracy that we currently are living under, and that was the apartheid regime. And to me, it's more like a reminder of how important the feminine is in terms of the fight towards equality, the fight towards change. And I think about one of my idols, Tupac Amaru Shakur, talking about um, none of us as men would be here if it weren't for women. So we can't be ill treating these very same people that ensured that we are here. They took care of us. And to me, my mom is my first love, man. That's the queen of my heart. That is the person that I discovered how capable I am actually when it came to love. And it wouldn't be actually possible if I didn't like take stock, most importantly, of the amazing sacrifices that she made. I'm not saying my father is less important, but the fact that during those times that he wasn't there, my mom played a very pivotal role. I had to see the queen of my heart go through the most in terms of experiences that I couldn't define at that moment, because you are still battling the phase of growth and Kanye Nontolwana talks about teenagehood being crossroads. It's like you crossing a highway, and that is where most things do happen. Accidents are happening at that time, habits are being formed, and that is the age between 13 and 19. And that is one of our important phases that we go through life. And there are certain things that if we actually cement in terms of mentality during that time, we can go on and actually find ourselves being influenced a lot by it. So as I reflect with my pain as well and what I went through between those ages, there were a lot of traumatic things that were happening in within that time. And this phase, I face it without having um, a masculine influence in my father, most importantly, my biological father. And I just want to state that I have nothing against my pops. I love my father so much. I love him. Without him, I wouldn't be here if he hadn't met my mother. So shout out to my pops for the mere fact that him and my mom hooked up, and I was the first child from my mom's side. Yes, I'm the fourth child on his side. My father has other kids before my mother, but that's not the fundamental topic. The most important thing is that I am grateful that he is my father. Every time I go through certain things, and someone who knows him so well will say, you're exactly your father's son. And I am exactly my father's son. And my eldest sister, Amanda, I had this conversation with her many, many times when I was going through the most. I'm like, I'm so afraid that I'm going to become my father. I'm so afraid that I'm going to be in a position where I'm going to leave my own family and actually never look back like my father did. And my sister always reassures me that yes, you are his son, but you are not him. Just acknowledge the fact that already at this phase that you find yourself in your in your growth, you have made different decisions than him. You've actually chosen to not be consumed by the pain, but instead understand that you need to heal the pain in order for you to become a better version of yourself. And she didn't have this conversation with me, but she reminded me so much about forgiveness is something we do so that we can free ourselves. It's never about the person that we are actually forgiving. Um, Even Bongo Maholwana, shout out to Bongo Maholwana, that's my best friend. He talks about how we should forgive our parents because they were doing this for the first time. And I know this pointer is something that got to one of the people commented on my videos on TikTok, and I have nothing against that. Maybe that was something that needed to be addressed. And the way that you actually responded could be you responding from a fact that um, this is something that might have happened to you. And I just want to say I'm sorry for what happened to you, but as an adult, it's also still your responsibility to have a different outlook. And like I said, man, yes, our childhood was traumatic. We went through all these experiences, but it's still our responsibility as an adult to heal, man. That's why I recommend therapy as well. I understand that the idea of speaking to someone about your problems is something that we, as melanated people, don't see help. But we cannot be actually be open to an idea unless we get to try it. It felt weird at first when I got my very first few sessions as well, because you think, you're just talking and all of that. But having someone reflect the fact that you are actually strong, not because I needed to hear that, but because that was the observation of the therapist about my life story and how empowering it is for the fact that, irregardless of what happened to me, I didn't let that consume me. I didn't become what happened to me. Instead, I became much stronger than that. And I just want each and every person to not become a victim of their story, but become a victor of their story. Because remember, you are the one who's holding the pen. So are you going to place yourself as the victim, as in, oh, this happened to me, this is the reason why I've turned out this way? Or are you going to be the victor and say, irregardless of what happened, I became something much more because I realized that I still had a choice. You also have a responsibility and a choice as well. And how are you going to actually interpret what happened to you as a person? But the healing part is so important. It doesn't have a formula. What works for someone else won't work for you. Um, what also helped me as well is taking this self help journey very seriously. Besides me being a motivational speaker, I have to understand that the same way we take care of our houses, which is we clean our houses, we clean our clothes, it's the same way that we must take care of our mental health as well. We must make sure that we pour in things that are gonna um, strengthen us. And sometimes, and I mean all the time, one of the things that take so much lightly is just walking barefoot, and that is grounding, connecting our feet with nature itself. That's one of the things that helps. Sitting around nature, this is being around trees and so on, because remember, the trees are taking the carbon dioxide that you are breathing out while they're giving you oxygen. Another thing that's so important is trying to find means to be alone, conversating with self. And I find myself doing this a lot. I talk to myself a lot of times, whether I'm being stupid, whether I'm being good, whether I'm trying to uplift myself in a position where maybe I'm nervous. And when I'm nervous, I just try to tell my mind that you're not nervous, you're actually excited. You're excited to give this talk. And I just can't believe about a week ago, I actually gave a brief at work, and it felt some kind of way, man. It's like, that feeling where you have initiative of, you literally are born for the decision that you are making. And it made a whole lot of sense for me as well. And I'm a person who loves to celebrate each and every small win. Every win actually matters to me. It doesn't matter, especially the inner battles that I do go through on a daily basis. I wouldn't be human if I wasn't going through all of that. And I want to also remind you, and also for first and foremost, I want to congratulate you for overcoming and being victorious to the battles in the mind that you only have witnessed yourself. Those are the fundamental important battles that you can ever overcome over. And dear sister and dear brother, I want to thank you. I hope you continue to win about the battles that you don't tell people about, because every single day that we get to wake up, we are faced with a choice of whether are we going to become a victim or are we going to become a victor. So I want you to choose to hold the pen this time. I want you to choose to stop becoming a victim and start to become a victor, because that is how we get to be empowered. You know what? Irregardless of what happened to me, I'm not going to become what happened to me, but instead, I'm going to become what I want to be, irregardless of what I went through. So, dear brothers and dear sisters, most importantly, and to my fellow brothers, man, I just want us to become better versions of ourselves. Some of us didn't grow up with fathers who were examples, but that doesn't mean that our biological fathers or any male role model was not present in the home. That in us growing, we cannot be able to look outside. I remember, and up until this day, a majority of males that have become like figures in my life have people that I've met online. And it's people that I've interacted through their gifts, and that is through movies, series, podcasts, and all these kind of things. And shout out to Paniel the Black Pen for assisting me during the time of COVID. Me and Sumula were going through the most during that time. But your content, man, bro, we were tuned in. We were growing, most importantly. We were using what you were telling us. Yes, some things didn't work out, but we always understood that you had the intention of ensuring that everyone actually makes something out of what they have. And at that time, I didn't even have the microphone that I'm using. I didn't have the sound mixer that I have, but I did have this mind. to actually manifest and think, okay, how can I make things better, not just for myself, but for everyone around me? So thank you so much, sir, for having that influence upon my life. I wouldn't be here if I didn't continue to seek out your words. And you were saying things that I needed to hear at the time, not what I wanted to hear, especially after the reset, after the pandemic. A lot of people's mentalities actually deteriorated due to the fact that they were still trying to hang on and grasp upon, will life ever be the same again? And grieving the queen of my life was also one of the hardest things to ever do at that time. I didn't even realize that I was in no position to love someone at that time if I didn't accept what had happened. Mom was no longer here. And on top of that, you don't have any form of income at the moment, but I had the mother of my child who was doing the most for me. And I just want to shout her out as well for sticking through those hard times. Yes, we're no longer together, but she believed in me when no one did. And in during times of hardship, that is what we all need. We need the support, we need the belief, we need people who are going to be there, regardless of that hardship that we do endure. And people like that need to be given props, man. At any moment, you could have left, but you decided to stay for the sake of ensuring that I become better, I become in a good position. Until this day, I sing your praises, whether privately or publicly, because God knows what He was doing when He gave us this child, you see. So I just want to thank you and being grateful to you for all the immense support and work that you put in your family also during that time, your mom, your dad, your uncles, your aunts, everyone, directly and indirectly, positively and not positively, but just for me to see in during that time a very positive aspect and a figure of the fact that you had a family that existed. It's something that actually helped me a lot. So in within that helping me as well, it made me a better man. It made me a better brother. It made me realize that it's so important, Tando, for you to aspire to become good and the best at whatever role that you have been given. Competition is healthy, and competition to me is a means for me to test my own strength. It's not about overcoming the next person. It's healthy. We need to compete as people, and I might be good at something, you might be good at something, but that don't mean that we can't compete with one another. And this is not even in a toxic way. This is in a way where we can be able to bring out the best out of one another. And that has been one of the guiding forces in terms of the competition that I had to face throughout life. I had to put certain ideas of who I am to bed because I understood that those things were not actually fulfilling for me. They were not driving me towards becoming the best version of ourselves, but instead, it made me want to thrive on putting others down instead of actually lifting others up. It's so important for us to be kind to ourselves, first of all, because remember, you are a mirror. Whatever comes out of your mouth is a reflection of what's happening in within. So if you can be able to sort out the within, which is the inner conversations, interpreting what emotions am I feeling and what are those emotions trying to teach me, we become actually people that can be able to be responsible, first of all, for how we feel. Because 100% of what happens to you in life is not your responsibility. You can't control what happens to you, but you can definitely control how you react to it. And I'm thinking about this thing that says, be careful of the things that are sent to you to destroy your peace. Peace of mind is so expensive, bro. It was so expensive. It got me to a point where now it was pointless for me to argue. Like, what am I arguing about? Like, what am I gaining? I'm just wasting energy. Energy that I could have poured down into chasing after my dreams, making my life a reality, like competing with thyself. That energy is so vital and so important, man. Like, let lying dogs lie, man. Let lying dogs lie. Like, You don't need to address any rumors, bro. You don't need to prove your point to nobody. Like, the Almighty knows your side of the story, man. Human beings are never going to be putting themselves in that kind of initiative in terms of trying to understand where you're coming from, because remember, you are interpreting things as you are experiencing them, and it's not your responsibility to explain yourself. Your job is actually just to live. You need to live a fulfilled life. I tell people all the time, stop surviving and start living. And how do we live? It starts with acceptance. Accept where you are. Understand that the decisions that you have made have taken you up until this point, and whatever happens from here onwards is going to be based on what do you do next. How how are you going to be putting yourself in a position to win? How are you going to start thinking more and more about how to make things better, not just for the self but also for those around you? And it's a decision I made that there's negativity in this corner. I'm going to choose to spread as much positivity as I can, and I'll see where this goes. It's just that it's a commitment that I made, not just to self, but the future version of me actually depends on that. And in within this time that I'm actually making these decisions, it's also important for me to like retune, okay, what would the future version of me actually be doing? What habits does he instill? What kind of vocabulary does that person possess? What kind of things that are uplifting could he be doing? I had to let go of a lot of destructive things. I stopped the smoking, I stopped the drinking, and it was a personal choice. It's not about what someone else did. Yes, there were people in my life who were encouraging me that I need to make better decisions. But remember, the ultimate decisions lies on you. You can be influenced, or you can by all these people and telling you, yo, bro, stop doing this, stop doing that, stop doing this, stop doing that. But up until you eventually sit at your table with yourself and start to negotiate with this guy and say, yo, bro, and what are we becoming because of these habits, bro? What are you becoming, bro? And I have nothing against anyone that drinks or smokes, man. It's like you have to deal with yourself. You have to answer to yourself about that, bro. And I've seen how it can destroy people, bro, like at first, and I saw that in my own family, how destructive that can be. And it's one of the tools, man, because it does impact your capacity to think clearly, most importantly. And there's this whole lot of diseases that come when you are actually doing all these destructive habits. Diseases that it's in the word dis-ease. There's a dis-ease in your body. Yes, you call it having fun, but I had a conversation, man, with my grandma, bro. And guys, it's not my mother's mother, but it's my grandma. I call her my grandma. And I told her the other day, every time I come here, I come to fetch life. She's 75 years old, but she doesn't even look a day 70. That woman looks like she's still in her 40s, the way she has kept herself in check. And she always tells me the importance of having respect, um, the importance of listening to your elders. There's no lies when it comes to the Holy Scripture when he says, respect your elders and your days shall be longer. When an elder says no to you, listen. And while I was having this conversation with her, she made an example that in my head I was like, it really does take a village to raise a child. Because as a parent, if another parent is actually rectifying your child in the streets, it's a responsibility of the entire village. It's just that we live in townships right now, but the concept itself is such an uplifting one, especially us for people of Kush, us as melanated people, that it takes a village to raise a child, which means that each and every man and woman on that street is your parent. If they see you doing something wrong, then they must rectify you. It's not abuse. It's called being disciplined. And this is why we find ourselves in this mess that we're finding ourselves in, where kids want to tell adults what to do. I get embarrassed on their behalf because there are things that when I look at how they are reacting and how they do things, I wouldn't even think twice, bro, to actually do that to another adult, because I understand that that person is my parent. And man, I just want to pray for my family. Most importantly, there's a lot of them who are dealing with addiction, consciously and unconsciously. Some people are still in denial about that addiction. But I want to show them through my own actions as well that we can live in the same environment, but we can make different decisions. If I can do it, you can do it too. But remember, it's not going to be easy for you to continue to make that decision. It was never easy for me as well. It's going to ultimately take guts. It's going to take a lot out of you, man. But to everyone who's in my family, I want you to heal, man. I want you to get to a point where you stop destroying yourself and start to construct yourself. Remember, you're the biggest project that you can ever work on in your life. You're the biggest object. And if you don't actually continue persevering, man, at the height of all this destructiveness that you are faced with on a daily basis, then you're going to find yourself in a hole, which it's still going to be a hole that is going to be your responsibility to get yourself out of. Nobody else's, man. We want to be adults, so we have to deal with the consequences of actually making decisions as adults. We need to be responsible for the decisions that we made. And the idea and the concept of it, it's scary, man, but it comes with the territory, man. I chose to be a present father, a present brother. Every role I choose to be present, and sometimes I have to remind the people in my life, I also have myself to attend to. Yes, it's okay for you to be there for people, but start with you first, man. Start with you first. You can't be empty and they are full because of you, regardless of how massive and an amazing heart that you have, an amazing person that you are. At the end of the day, you come first, bro. You come first, man. And that's not being selfish. It's called self-care. It was when you are battered up and empty and you are going through the most, that is when you see that the very same people that you're giving so much for can't give you the same thing. And you can't be mad at them. All you can do is just acknowledge it and say, okay, when I go quiet, nobody's there. But when everybody's going through things, I'm there, breaking backs, barriers, and all those kind of things. It's a lesson, man, to each and every viewer about that don't expect someone else to have the same beautiful heart that you do have. Don't expect someone to turn up the same way that you turn up for them. That's it. It has to do with a lot of selfishness, and it's so unrealistic, man. It's so unrealistic, and something that also pops into my mind every now and then, that you're a good person, but you don't need to prove it to nobody. You don't need to prove to nobody that you have an amazing heart. You don't need to prove to anybody that you are capable of making things a reality, not just for yourself, but for them as well. Just play your part. That's all I'm here to do. I'm here to play my part. I'm here to tend to my garden. I'm here to replenish, most importantly. And I just want to thank you, Almighty Shiva, for my family. Guys, sometimes we actually don't remind ourselves that there's a reason why we can choose friends and not our family. You get your family by default, but your friends, you can never get them by default. But for me, my friends have become family. They become brothers, sisters, people of immense support. And I would advise you to go find your people. They call me weird all the time. I'm weird, man. I'm really weird, and I love that so much about myself. I wouldn't give that up for anybody. I wouldn't change that for anybody. And I want you to actually thrive in your in your uniqueness. I want you to thrive in your weirdness. That is what I wanted to say before that. I just want you to thrive being you. You just continue being you. You will attract the people that resonate with that you-ness, that you realize that you're one of one, that the creator will never make another life like you. You will never have someone else go through the same experiences such as you. And it just shows the amazing power that he has, man. He created all these billions and billions of lives, and each and every one is unique. You can't make the same person. But it's been an amazing privilege for me to become a father to a baby girl. A baby girl is just growing up too quickly now. When I look at this person and I go back on the memories I made at such a young age, I know I don't take as often videos as I should. I think I'm just gonna start doing that from the age of 5 when she starts school. But literally from a couple of months up until 3 years old, it was just all about me documenting every single goddamn moment I can, man. Creating the digital library, bro. Like back then, when our parents used to do the same thing, they used to take videos and pictures and everything about us to ensure that those things they live for years and years and years to come. When we grow and we have our own kids, we can be able to show our own kids the very same thing. It just becomes so beautiful, man. A piece of history. The fact that I can take a picture today, in a couple of years to come, I can be able to look back at that picture and just reflect about what was I going through, what decision was I making. Did I choose to become the best version of myself during that time? It just becomes an amazing privilege, man. And this life thing, I don't want to ever take it for granted in every instance that I have. So, season 8, thank you so much. You broke the barriers, man. You can see this person while he's speaking, holding this mic. You can see my facial expressions. Sometimes I'm not up for it. Sometimes, like, yo, this guy is on a rant. Why is he shouting? And all of that is because I'm in motion. I'm driven by the spirit, bro. I don't walk alone. I walk with 1,000 people. Those before me. I am my ancestor in the now. So for us to continue to break barriers, man, this has been longer than the other episodes because it feels so personal to me to close the season off, just reflecting on all those things. And we're not scripted, guys. There are people who just want to come on the show sometimes and they want to have certain topics they want to speak about. I like to believe in freestyle, man, because your life doesn't have a script. It's a personal diary. Yes, we discuss different kinds of topics, social sciences and all those kind of things. Yes, the platforms can put us into categories and all those things. But most importantly, for us to speak from the heart, man. I speak from the heart. I'm driven by what's in here, and that is like the influence that I want to leave onto this world for each and every person to become the best versions of themselves. not to duplicate, to become originals, hybrids. You will never be here, so your experiences might as well be as unique as they come. I love and appreciate you, young man. I want to thank each and every person as well who's contributed towards this journey. I sound so mellow, man, because in one of the episodes I also mentioned this, that I'm content with self. I'm actually content with self. Shiva works through me even till now. He still reminds me of the promise that I made to myself when I started. And that is a promise that I'm planning on keeping. I want him to, in any room that I walk in, for him to dwell my mind and remind me that there is no other you. There is no other you. Love and appreciate each and every one, to my circle of accountability, to my colleagues, to my leaders, to everyone who I've met, people that I've crossed paths with. Season 8 is only the beginning of the video revolution. And if you have come this far, I also do thank you. I know sometimes these things might not seem like they work, but trust me, if you trust and believe and you practice, practice makes competence. You become competent when you often practice. So I just want you to practice loving yourself, practice taking care of yourself up until it becomes a habit. And once it becomes a habit, now it becomes a norm, and then it comes intuitively. Appreciate every one of you. As the motivational maniac, my name is Thando Nkonyana. I'm signing out this season 8. Until the next one. Namaste and shalom.